Yeah, like you see, I'm at my practice. These are files. I'm now full time at my practice, but I can always save the country in whatever capacity that avails itself. But for now, I think yes, I'm still a member of my party in good standing, but I still await further deployments should they come. Yeah.
Thanks. As a mayor, president of now.
Yeah, I think challenging term because you see we were just thrown into the deep end. Uqalisa on your first election as a councillor, and something that one was not prepared for. One weqonga ukuthi uyafika nje ube ukansela njengabanye, but then your colleagues then have other thoughts and think that you are best placed to lead them. So basically the first thing was to learn the ropes. So you'll be learning the ropes at the same time actually practicing what must be done to lead the city. We came in a city which had already in a season of droughts. I think Izulu abakwaZulu aqina kuna 2017. So already we were flying into the storm where there was water shortage. Sifika of course kule challenge of Amaleka's projects anjengeGodini Mall, which had been first mooted by council in 2012. In 2018 we come in and we were supposed to implement it, and we came in when you are facing a situation where the road network and infrastructure in the city is in a dilapidated state. So it was a great challenge. We merely found at the same time usebenza. So, but I think to be fair to myself and colleagues, we tried to navigate the storm waters, and here we are. I think that's quite was a term. Yeah.
Now, one thing about the city of Bulawayo is over these 5 years, you didn't have any major suspensions as compared to maybe your colleagues in Harare, where there are a lot of directors who were suspended, having different capacities. What is the trick, the secret behind your working relationship with the Minister of Local Government? We know you're an opposition council, but for some reason you had a perfect working condition with the Minister of Local Government.
Yeah, I think in terms of human capital, we scored a lot of successes. Firstly, as we speak, we are the only city or town or municipality in Zimbabwe with a full complement of heads of departments. Akula kuthiwa actor, akula kuthiwa suspended, akula kuthiwa maybe kulama issues facing criminal charges and so forth. I think firstly for Bulawayo, it has over the years been able to run a clean government. A clean government in the sense that if you look at our policies, all resolutions are in terms of council policies, they're in terms of the law. There's what one would call a straitjacket approach to issues of governance. So that's why you see even when is Mobile Anti-Corruption Commission came with local everything we're pointing with local in terms of this policy, local in terms of this policy or this law. So really at the end of the day, into young gap above board, and in terms of a policy, a policy document be crafted in terms of resolutions of council which have been made over years. And coming to a relationship with the local government, I think what is very important and key, which I want to they lose sight of is that being a local authority, you are part of government. Local authorities are quasi-government institutions, the agents of government. So there's no government we serve under one government, and it's very important to government policies, government directives, and government not really being I know you are weak if you follow government policies. But it's always important with any government directive in terms of policy, in terms of law, you try as far as possible to stick to those things. And because otherwise, in terms of government policy, we feed into that the realization of those government policies. Well, we serve the same people at the end of the day. Yeah, you see, like I said, during one of the West droughts since 92, and what we did was to remember we applied to government for a declaration of Bulawayo as a critical water shortage area, and which government, after assessment of the requirements of such a declaration, will say no, but as government we can also chip in to assist, and this saw a lot of resuscitating of bores in Nyamandlovu, the Nyamandlovu Equipment and Rochester, and also we then saw the speedy implementation of Ikwaishangani water project, which before that request for declaration of Bulawayo as a critical water shortage area was moving at a slow pace. Now, in the coming season or the next season, that water may reach Bulawayo, considering the activities that are happening on the pipeline and on the dam itself. So indeed, there have been a lot of interventions in water augmentation projects, a lot of promises as well. Many projects even in the south, Nyankoni booster and Caesar duplication, pipeline duplication. So those are a lot of promises that are there, where government, even through the Ministry of Finance, are saying they are prepared to release funds to assist Bulawayo. So it all goes to what you need to be able to work together, because you don't need to. It's not, you cannot say I have to belong to the same political party with the governing party or those in government, in central government, would release the curriculum and agree on something that is meant to further a service delivery. So yes, we were able to. I remember we were invited to State House by the president. I went there myself, town clerk, and the late engineer Smila to present the case. Sleep challenge, and this was after civil challenge where we had problems there in terms of contamination of water and so forth. So really, government have been hopeful, especially where we request assistance. Of course, for roads, yes, I think we had a challenge in the coming in of the ERP. I mean, that was a challenge. But in terms of Zinara, of course, before ERP, we were getting those disbursements not as timely as we would have wanted, of course, because the challenge is also that the country is facing. But we've been getting some disbursements every now and then. But of course, the management, I think the management of the ERP, it could have been managed better with the involvement maybe of council and involvement of all stakeholders. It could have been managed better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the challenge as well is when councillors come in with maybe a closed mind, perceived corruption, perceived malpractices on the part of management, and ukuthi vele when you have an outgoing crop of councillors who then advise other councillors, those incoming councillors, ukuthi this is the situation there where you are going. I think that's why you see, as an outgoing council, you always need to advise the incoming councillors properly. Because I don't think that I think Kambaram was a victim of ill advice. I mean, he was ill advised, and he was acting on instructions from outside. Because as a deputy mayor, for that matter, I think one would have sought proper advice on how to go about some of these things, because you see, everything must be procedural. You can't just wake up, even from your places themselves. If you have a good reason to believe that misconduct has been committed, I mean, there are procedures and processes on how to handle disciplinary issues and labor disputes and so forth. I think it could have been held. It could have been conducted in a proper manner, and he sought advice of counsel. I think that's the trick. Or don't unilaterally take decisions without involving council, because in council then you can then get to have officials to advise you, and most probably the problem is that most councillors would not want to be advised by officials, because they think that they will be biased towards one of their own. But they're employed to advise, and if you then take decisions without proper advice, legal or otherwise, because I think that was an emotional decision, it was a political decision, which had nothing to do with what was obtaining on the ground, which had nothing to do with an investigation having been done to satisfy yourself that indeed there are reasonable cause that misconduct had been committed. So that's why you see even that matter did not even have the support of council at the end of the day, because when council was now presented with the facts, it then declined to take action. So I think, emotions aside, people must work on facts. People must work on what is, because I have heard some councillors who are coming in, or read some, have started to form opinions from what they hear outside, without subjecting those what they hear outside to facts on the ground and what is obtained in council. Yeah, like I said, yes, we will. I'll come to Equatin, but to Equatin later. Let me deal with TTI. I think it's a project that was misunderstood. In my view, it was misunderstood because the feeling or the belief outside is that this is a project meant to fundraise or to raise money for council, or it's a revenue stream, etc., etc. I think the primary purpose of the project, in my considered view, is to congest the city, is to fight other vices, other ills that we're obtaining in the streets. You had your vending in the car booths, you had your cleaning and some mechanical works, repairs of motor vehicles on the parking bays. You had people who would park their vehicles and leave them the whole day, and others have no access to those parking bays. I think that was the primary consideration in our view, to bring up that parking management system. Remember, we had a parking management system before, but which was not automated, and it had a lot of leakages. So the automated parking management system was meant to close all those gaps, to close leakages, to decongest the city, to fight other evils. There were break-ins in the cars, theft from motor vehicles. Those cases, if you go to the police stations and ask for those records, you see there's a phenomenal decline in the cases of theft from motor vehicles. So that was the primary consideration of bringing in that parking management system, and indeed that was our project that was consummated during our time. And I think secondly, those who have been demonizing this project, there's one thing which they don't say. We are a council that has during our time which has started a project and completed it, and in the process created employment. Imagine for an average youth that is employed there, that average youth is feeding a family of 6 members on average. So those are things that are not being said. So basically we think that in terms of employment creation, in terms of congesting the city and fighting some of those ills that were happening on our parking bays, on our streets, I think we've achieved what we set ourselves to achieve. But of course there are complaints that we try and balance every now and then. The complaints regarding that it becomes they're pushing what you call people out of business in terms of the hours that they park and so forth and so forth. But we have tried to adjust every now and then, and I think Bulawayo is the cheapest parking fee. Go to Harare, go to Gweru, Mutare, and even Shaban. If you look where they've implemented this parking management system for us, you will see that it's still $1 for 30 minutes in these other cities. But we've managed to try and negotiate with our partners to say, firstly, the first intervention was that the time can be transferred to the other bay, and then even reducing that to 50 cents, and then these packages, the monthly packages and so forth. So, but even then, you have to look at it from a business perspective. Look at, of course, there are those who are saying we are pushing away business. What nature of business are they running? Those who say they've been pushed out of business. Look at the mainstream businesses like Edgar's Group, which was forced to close shop because of those the vending outside, the parking outside, and so forth. So it's something that we are trying, because of course you cannot control vending because of the nature of the economy, but we think that it's a project that we started, it's a project that we implemented to completion. It's almost 75% complete. It has employed a number of people. It has achieved in terms of reducing crime on our streets in the CBD. Like I said, it's a legacy project which we adopted in 2018 when we came in. Of course, it was mooted in 2012, and so from 2012 to 2018 it was stagnant. That's a fact. When we came in in October 2018, the first thing that we did was to commission a call center to ensure that all the processes that regarding engagement of contractors, engagement of manual labor and so forth is done under one roof at the site. The second thing that we did was to finish the business of compensating those property owners who had not been compensated before, and we were able to compensate them, and they were then able to move out of Egodin, and we were able then to hand over the site. So I hear people saying the project started in 2012. It was stagnant when we came in 2012, and we are the ones in terms of all the permits they were approved during our time. The handing over of the site, the destruction of some of those properties which were there, the excavation works which started in 2019. But of course, they were, in terms of construction itself, there was a slow start in terms of there was COVID in 2020 and 2021. That was the reason that we were given. But of course, we leave Egodin now in a better state than it was in 2018 when we took over the administration of the city. As I'm speaking right now, I think there have been laying of bitumen. If you visited there, in terms of the tax area, asphalt has been applied, and I'm sure in a week or two they'll be roofing those the tax area. Then in terms of vendors, I think there will be progressive readmission of vendors, starting with I think 400 and so forth. So this is what is happening. I think in our view, we leave Egodin in a state which was better than what we found it in. Of course, it was a legacy project, but we've started. We have ensured that it starts at least. Of course, there were challenges that were encountered by the contractors over the years, and some people would say, no, why don't you cancel? A lot of residents will say, no, why don't you cancel, and so forth. And I know there are, of course, incoming group of councillors who would think that no, that thing, there's no progress, it must be cancelled. But if they take it to say what was there in 2017 or September 2018 and what is there now, they'll see a remarkable difference without really trying to protect them. But these are contracts. You don't wake up just cancelling contracts. Some of the issues have to do with delays from our side, like the compensation of the property owners, which only occurred in 2018, 2019. The permits that are required to start construction and so forth. So it's a mixed bag, really, in terms of the airport mall. But we believe that once commuters vendors start moving in there will be remarkable progress, and whatever then remains will be the construction of the mall itself. Yeah.